Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I am representing the Polytechnical Museum here, and the topic of my presentation is the first experience with photography in the collection of the Polytechnical Museum. The history of photographic collection of the Polytechnical Museum is closely related with the Polytechnical exhibition, which took part in Moscow back in 1872. So from the second half of the 19th century, due to a rapid development of the industries, the demand for sharing knowledge in among qualified Russian professionals became evident. Exhibitions contributed to that, and the Emperor's Society, lovers of natural sciences, anthropology, and ethnography of the Moscow University initiated the exhibition. So the aim was to demonstrate to the spectators different industry processes and demonstrate latest achievements of the world and national science and technical. So to present the history of creating and improving the photographic process, to make the audience know new technologies. It was among the goals of the photographic pavilion, which was covered by the applied physics department. The Society of Proliferations of the Technical Knowledge made an important role. So the founder of the society, Alexander Torletsky, was the sponsor for the pavilion construction, and Colonel Chepelevsky offered the layout for the pavilion's design. So he offered three sections of the exposition: a historical, the department of the current status of photography, and the true photo studios, where visitors were shown all stages of photographic process. So, including tools, devices, chemical materials, and development agents used from the times when light painting was developed till 1872. So there were there was a whole demonstrating the scientific application of photographers with magnified images of microscopic chemicals, also with prints of plants, wild and domestic animals. So among the photographic department, there was a remarkable collection owned by a well-known photographer Mechkovsky from Warsaw, and it contained the daguerreotype portrait of a daguerre with his signature. So later on, when adding works to the photographic collections, principles developed by the founders of the museum were observed. So later on, there were samples of three-colored print on paper made in the workshop of Progudin Gorsky, and also experiments on photography without silver soles produced in 1858 by Niepce de Saint-Victor from the collections on Richard Tillet, a well-known inventor and photographer. In the 1930s, the museum went through a series of reorganizations which resulted in a damage to the collection. So some daguerreotype portraits of Daguerre disappeared, and many exhibits were damaged by time. So, however, despite these losses, the collections could preserve and reflect the history of photography development. Heliography is one of the earliest types of fixed image. Is represented by the print from Nicephore Niepce's helio engraving called Cardinal d'Amboise. So also materials containing minutes of the meeting of the committee on creating the Applied Knowledge Museum from 1891 stated that the first experience of getting heliography were actually donated to the Applied Physics department of the museum by Richard Tiller. And the most valuable exhibit is the colored stereoscopic daguerreotype made in 1840s, 1850s by an unknown author. So the reproductive negative positive kilotype process invented by William Talbot is represented by his work Staircase, and also the photo engraving Colonnade of Alhambra by Talbot is another pearl in the collection. So Talbot completed this work in 1858, and it's an experience of photo engraving based on the properties of chromide gelatin, which is insoluble in water after light exposure. And one of the first French callitypists was Demolar, and there are two works in the museum's collections on salt paper as calotypes: the portrait of a woman with three girls and a male portrait. So the mentioned works of Talbot and Demolar were exposed in the historical department of the photographic pavilion of the Polytechnic exhibition of 1872. To get better prints by calotype, which initially was much inferior to daguerreotypes, waxed paper started to be used. So waxing improved transparency, clarity, and the storage time for a negative. So the collection also contains works by French photographer Ambroise Richebourg. They are negatives on wax paper. The bridge over Seine, the Key of Paris, and positive prints on wax paper, portrait of a dame in a chair from 1840s, and portrait of two gentlemen. Every photography has a photographer's signature, and also there is, you can see some text in French. It's not fully legible, but it's clear. Well, I am impressed. Let's continue to put wax further on. So probably, yes, the photographer was impressed and mentioned it. So in my presentations we could touch upon only a small part of the photographic collection of the Polytechnic Museum. However, these works were the first experience on how to improve photographic image. And what was specific about these collections, the photographers and scientists of late 19th century are represented by one or two works, because the goal was not to present authors' collections, but objects illustrating certain stages in history and development of photography. And the organizers were interested in photographs not as works of art, but as an objects of science and technical sciences. So the photographic technologies which became popular in early 20th century are represented by authors' collections of masters as Greenberg, Olitin, and others. But this is a subject for my next presentation.